All right. Well, a lot to be excited about, and everyone wants it to translate into wins. And what's important when it comes to that is your schedule. And
Yeah,
we did our schedule preview on Kentucky. It's probably been over a month ago now, but I
yeah,
remember us talking about it, and we were saying, and I mentioned Blaine earlier, and if you watched the channel, you've seen some of the videos Blaine's done on Kentucky this heading
yeah,
into the season, but Blaine has even gone as far, I think, as to made the bold prediction that Kentucky could have, I don't know, 9, 10 wins maybe heading into the South Carolina game on November the 18th. Like he's that high on this team. And when you look at their
yeah.
schedule, so quickly, we'll run through it here. If I was more
Sure.
prepared, I could pull it up on the screen, but everybody knows that technicality sometimes are our biggest hindrance. But so they play Ball State to open the season in Lexington. They get
Yeah,
Eastern Kentucky after that. Akron, 3 straight games to open the season. The Kentucky should win. You've
yep,
got the I call it tricky game at Vanderbilt on September 23rd. We all remember what happened last season in that game, and I do think Vanderbilt is going to be improved. So I don't know that I would call that a guaranteed lock to be a win, just because I think Vanderbilt's an improved team. But Kentucky should be the favorite to win that game. Florida, boy, you want to talk about a team, and a common theme we've had is people are all over the place on the Florida Gators. I've seen some people put them in the top 25. I've seen some people pick them 3 and 9. I don't know what to expect from Florida, and I can safely say they're probably the team I have the least confidence on heading into the season, not from a win total standpoint, but just from a I don't know what it's going to look like. So look, that's a potential 5-0 start there for Kentucky. You look
yep,
at the rest of the schedule at Georgia. I don't care who you are, that's a tough game, just based on the 2-time defending national champions. They get Missouri at home, they get Tennessee at home, they get Alabama at home. They have road
yeah,
games at Mississippi State, at South Carolina, at Louisville, to kind of finish up that final stretch of the season. But really, to me, Stuart, with this whole schedule, I think the luxury of getting 2 of your toughest games, Tennessee and Alabama, both in Lexington. The game at Georgia stands out as one that's probably going to be very hard to win, just given, I think, what our expectations are of Georgia. But it could be Georgia's toughest game on the schedule in reality, because talk
yeah.
about schedules. Georgia doesn't have the toughest schedule, as everyone knows. So
Right. Mhm.
I look at this Kentucky schedule, and I can't say this about a lot of SEC teams, but I see nothing but sort of a land of opportunity here, because those 2 games in particular, Tennessee and Alabama in Lexington, everything else outside of the Georgia game, to me, feels winnable for Kentucky. And I'm not saying that I think Tennessee and Alabama are both winnable if this is the kind of Kentucky team we think it's going to be. So, again, I don't know how you could ask for a better setup just based
Yeah.
on what the schedule looks like.
Blake, it really is set up well for the team. I think, Vegas has the over under on total wins. I think it's 7 or 7.5.
Mm.
And so I think anything less than 8 wins for the fan base is going to be a disappointment. And I think back to your point, 9 wins is certainly achievable. And I think if a few things go Kentucky's way, I think they might be able to grab their first 10-win season in several regular season. I'm talking about with wins in several decades. And again, the home schedule is set up really nicely. It's one of the better home schedules that Kentucky's had, similar to 2 years ago when Kentucky had those same Eastern opponents at home. Florida was a little bit better, but we also had LSU that year at home, which was kind of on a down year. But yeah, just from kind of a smell test and a look test, yeah, the home schedule is going to be pretty exciting. But I think, you look at Georgia. Kentucky has arguably played Georgia tougher than any other SEC school over the last 2 years, both in Athens and Lexington. We always play the Dogs well, and you never know. You catch them. I like, honestly, catching them a little earlier this year. I wish we could catch Alabama a little bit earlier, but it just, Alabama and Lexington in November, some stranger things have happened. We beat Alabama, I think, in 1997. In one of the Tim Couch seasons in Lexington, and ripped the goalpost down. So I don't know if it'll be that to that acclaim. But yeah, I think it sets up pretty well. I think Florida, as you pointed out, we don't know what we're going to get there. I think Tennessee is obviously picked by many to finish second or third in the division. But yeah, it's why not, right? I think that's the phrase. Why not? We have the talent. I think Kentucky will be able to score consistently on most anybody on the schedule. And then the defense, we really haven't gotten into, but the defense is going to be very stout under Brad White for the season. And so, yeah, health and depth always come into play. So, but yeah, a lot to be optimistic. And I think 9 wins, that's my expectation. I think if things go right again, I think Kentucky could enjoy a 10-win season at the end of it. So,
yeah, I mean, you said like I think the Vegas win total, as you mentioned, was like 7.5. Now I've seen in some places, but like our Vegas expert Brian Edwards has talked about it. He's like, look, I think he said he didn't love the number back in the summer just because of the value that's there, but now it's like, boy, you look at this, I'm like, I would have to believe that Kentucky over that 7, I would feel very confident about just based on what we've talked about with this team heading into the season and just the way the schedule sets up. So